jelly roll.
Indeed. You nabbed it there, Frank.
How are you?
Yes, great, thank you. There were some Jelly Rolls, piano rolls. And yeah, he made quite a lot of piano rolls. And it's great ragtime music, or sort of... yes, it's emerging ragtime music.
That's right.
Yeah, it's great. I love the way it's voiced. It's very individual. It's signature sound. Yeah, so Mr. Morton, and yeah, they're good to hear those piano rolls because you get a lot more, you hear more about the sort of voicings and things, but of course they are inherently unmusical because they're just mechanical devices, but
Yeah.
that's the way of things. Yeah, so what's news?
Too much. Thank you for the links. You
Oh,
sent me.
yeah, no worries.
Invaluable. I shall.
Yeah, it's a lot of listening there.
That's
Each
all
one of
right.
those podcasts goes for about 2 hours.
I'll spread it over time.
Yeah, look, it's quite full on, and but I found it necessary to listen to those. And I should tell people what this is all about.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's just where there's an interest in the developments with AI, and there are a number of eminent alignment specialists and theoreticians and people just talking about some of the more global existential ideas which come about with the development of AI. So, and some of those they're quite challenging ideas to come to terms with. So, yeah, it's very thought-provoking. But a number of different viewpoints expressed. But I refer people to YouTube. There's lots of debates at the moment about AI and alignment. And I find that subject very interesting.
It's good that we're getting a pretty solid public debate going now.
Yeah, there's much more discourse about this. Yes, there was only one or two lone people talking about this for a long time, and now it seems to be much more in the foreground. But I think there's a vastly disproportionate amount of money spent on development of AI as opposed to alignment with AI. So I hope that balance changes.
It's a bit of a race for power, I think.
It is, and I think all the resources are going to just developing the complexity of large language models. But it's just one way of doing things, and you're right, it's all about power. And
quite a bit of stuff coming up to do with music as well.
Yeah, I'd be interested to follow on and hear more about that. I know that the algorithms are supposed to sort of draw information from the corpus of one or another style and find its its own expression.
I'm going to give it a go as best I can.
Yeah, look, it's a new frontier. It's all interesting, and they're saying within a few years' time, people will be able to just tell a storyline, and it'll make a fully fledged Hollywood movie for you. So sky's the limit. What that'll be like, I have no idea, but it will be interesting to see if they. How emotionally aligned they are, or how they sort of relate to our emotional states as the technology develops.
The great test is going to be our ability to tell the difference between the real thing and the AI.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think
it's become increasingly difficult.
It's going to be harder, and I think they'll have to find ways to to timestamp things or to have appropriate metadata, but maybe that's not as easy as it seems.
No.
It's big question. Yeah, all right, we'll kick off with our 20s hit, and I found, I think I played this before, but it's a good one. It's the Denza Dance Band, which I think was the sort of house band for Columbia, so it could be any scratch musician group, but it's a great dance craze that came in straight after the Charleston, and that is the Black Bottom. So back to 1926. And we are in gear. I'm vk3sl.
vk3jr.
away they go. They jump right in and give it all that they've got. They say that when that river bottom covered with ooze started to swirl, couples dance, that's the movement they use. Just like a worm's black bottom, a new rhythm when you spot 'em, you go with 'em and do that black, black bottom all the day long.
Black Bottom. That was the next craze after the Charleston. Some great lines in the vocal chorus there. And oozing just like a worm. So there are obviously quite a lot of wriggling and hip movements there. Oh, gosh.
Just like Elvis was doing.
That's exactly it. So they must have shocked the establishment with the Black Bottom.
How did the name come about? Do you know?
Look, I don't know. I'd like to know. And I think it came from a show, and that's all I'm aware of.
Okay.
Yeah, but I will, rain check that one and come back and find out. I'd like to know. So definitely worth investigating. I haven't got my
backstory to it.
Yeah, there would definitely be an interesting story there, and I haven't got my usual tablet with me in case using it for practice today. But, I've got something exciting to play a bit later on. I'll give you a teaser. We had a bit of a family shopping session today, which usually involves my daughters are all into op shops. In fact, Kate's into op shops, and so am I.
Why am I not surprised?
Yes, we all did a bit of an op shop crawl
Wonderful.
today, and went to a few. And didn't I spent the princely sum of $1 on a book, but I think the others spent a bit more. But Kate came away with some vinyl. She bought a record. I'm astonished. So it's an exciting disc too, and it's something that's sort of fits her sort of ambitions. And
Does it do with the flute?
Yes, and it's also jazz. So
really?
we'll just let this ride for a little bit, and we'll have
the pressure builds and the excitement.
That's right.
builds.
I'll give you a clue. It's Australian jazz, and I think people may be able to.
I've got a person in mind, but I won't.
Yes, I think you might be right, but we'll just let this one go for a little bit longer, and then all will be revealed, and we'll play quite a few tracks on this because that's an excellent record.
Yes, please.
Yay! All right.
I think it is.
Yeah, you know. All right. Now, I just thought I'd play another recording of the New Orleans Rhythm Kings, a very early band. We played a number of their tracks yesterday, I think it was, and we were hearing Mr. Morton, Jelly Roll Morton, was playing with the band. But this is before he recorded with them. This is their first recording, actually, 1922. And someone's written some details here. This is a guy who put it up, is a collector called Nick Dello. And he says the New Orleans Rhythm Kings, as the Friar Society Orchestra, play farewell blues from their very first recording session. And he goes on to say that the superb last chorus bursts out after a build-up of intensity, with Mayers growling out the lead. He was influenced by King Oliver. Jack Pettis playing the counter melodies on the C melody, it's either the C melody or the tenor sax, and Leon Rapolo riding over the ensemble, ably supported by Lou Black and Frank Snyder playing the woodblocks. So it says here that the laid-back style of rhythm with the band riding the beat is what they used to call sock time. So let's have a listen to Farewell Blues with the New Orleans Rhythm Kings back in 1922. that was a feast. Farewell Blues with the New Orleans Rhythm Kings.
They were really cool.
They were really hot. Fantastic. Yeah. Great to hear that. And I was not aware of their output, really. They haven't been on my radar, so having a few tracks turn up of late has been quite an education. Very, very fluid ensemble, excellent playing. And in that, when you consider how early that record is...
Yeah, it's before its time.
Yes, it is. And it's amazing. You can tell they're drawing their inspiration from the black bands at the time who sadly didn't get to record. Not very much anyhow. But that is a fascinating record.
That would have been the leading edge of New Orleans jazz at that time.
I think so, definitely. Yes, certainly with its abandon and its, the amount of syncopation.
Syncopation was great.
And that sitting back on the beat, that's sort of what sort of defines jazz in many respects, is the feel, and that's certainly evident in that recording.
That's why it's hard for a lot of classical people to play jazz, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. I just don't sort of get that sense. They read things very literally, so it doesn't sort of translate.
It's a loosening up.
Yes, it is. It's just it's a stylistic thing that can't be described. I think Fitzwater famously said if someone asked him what swing is, and he said, I could, when you say something to the effect of, if you ask, I could never tell you, or something.
If you ask, you can't be told.
You can't be told, that's right. It's always that effect. Yeah.
You're right.
Just riffing through a pile of records, and there is a repressing of the 1920s hit West End Blues with Louis Armstrong and his Hot Five here. And this was pressed in the 40s on an Australian Parlophone. They did a number of retrospective series back then, but it comes from the original Matrix, so it's nice hearing this music on a 78. So we'll continue with that now, back to about 1926, I think it was. This was recorded. Louis Armstrong and his Hot Five. Okay, that was just extraordinary. I'm just quickly looking it up because I really want to know who was playing the piano on that disc.
Lil Hutton?
Yeah, I think it actually might be. Yes, it's Earl Hines.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's Earl Father Hines playing.
He was in
piano.
the All Stars.
Yeah, he
and
was.
Before that, he was in that was the Hot Five, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yes, I know that Lil Hardin did play in a lot of them, but that was a fantastic piano solo. And Louis is just so free on that record. It's just amazing stuff.
This time I've heard Louis' voice. Probably the earliest you hear Louis' voice.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, he did what was it Willie the Weeper when he scats? I think it's Willie the Weeper from about the same time.
Yeah, right.
And it's one of the very first scat records.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic. Willie the Weeper Louis. I was looking it up on my phone, so I haven't got the tablet yet. Willie the Weeper. My phone's slower than the tablet, so it'll take a moment to think. And it's taking forever. Right. We'll just let it find its expression here. Willie the Weeper. No.
It's priceless, this early jazz.
Yeah, it is. It's fascinating. It's very, very interesting. Willie the Weeper, and still thinking, all right, well, look, I'll tell you what I'll do. I will find it, and it will wake up. It's just acclimatising. It's just wanting us to...
I know the feeling.
It's the story of my life, but look, it's okay. It keeps us on the edge of our seat.
Right.
And it's actually encouraged me to flip the disc. And on the other side of this anthology disc is a recording of Miff Mole and his Molars from about the same time, about 1927, 28, and they've got
Great
a
recording.
Oh, this is a fab record. And we'll come back to Louis after this, but yes, we'll hear That's a Plenty. So big hit for Mr. Mole. And these laminated Australian pressings sound so good, don't they?
Brilliant.
Okay.
Oh, what an ending.
Yeah, fabulous. There we have it. Yeah, that was Musket Ram. Was it Musket Ram? No, that's a plenty. That's a plenty with Miff Mole and his little molars. And yeah, look, the track I was thinking of with wasn't Willie the Weeper, which it's got other attributes. I can play it actually afterwards because it's just got the hottest solos ever. But the recording hotter than that, the record he made with Lonnie Johnson, features a guitar and scats interchange at the end.
Boy.
And it's really incredible. This is one of the first recordings of Armstrong scatting on record, and it's just years ahead of its time. It's incredible. We did play it quite recently, but I always find an excuse to play this again. Yeah, that record's just gold. And to think it was made 96 years ago. No, it's astonishing, really. So that's some of the very first sort of extended scat, in sort of exchange scat singing, you know, and it's enormously important, that record. And to think Louis Armstrong was only in his 20s when that was made. Yeah, incredible. His voice was exactly the same, wasn't it? Yeah. Oh, look, I could easily go down this rabbit hole. Look, I'll play... well, let's play one more. I'll play the Willie the Weeper for other reasons. I don't know why this song jumped out at me as a vocal. It's not. It's instrumental. And it's with the Hot Seven, featuring Mr. Thomas on trombone, Johnny and Baby Dodds. And Lil Armstrong is on this, and Johnny Sensai on the banjo. But it's just got a fabulous raw energy, and I just love the way this piece comes alive. They're just absolutely on fire. Willie the Weeper. Willie the Weeper. I love that song. I love the offbeat drumming there. It just,
yeah, with a cymbal.
yes, it's just so cool. It just has such a fabulous raw energy. Now, I was looking up the origins of scat singing, and there's quite a bit here to read out. I'm going to read it out because it is really interesting.
Yes, please.
It goes on to say, origins of scat singing, improvisational singing of nonsense syllables occurs in many cultures, such as diddling and lilting in Ireland, German yodeling, Sami is yoik, and speaking in tongues in various religious traditions.
Yeah.
And it says, although Louis Armstrong's 1926 recording of Heebie-Jeebies is often cited as the first modern song to employ scatting, and I will play that soon, there are many earlier examples. One early master of ragtime scat singing was Gene Green, who recorded scat choruses in his song King of the Bungalows, and several others between 1911 and 1917. I will look that up for a future missions for sure. Entertainer Al Jolson scattered through a few bars in the middle of his 1911 recording of that haunting melody. I probably won't look that one up. Gene Green's 1917 From Here to Shanghai, which featured faux Chinese scatting, and Gene Roderick's 1924 Scissor Grinder Joe, and some of these days also predating Armstrong, not by much though. It goes on. There's a whole lot of little.
Who provides this information? This is
off Wiki. Of Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Under scat.
It's a terrific thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good. It's good to get this background. Now, it says here that jazz pianist Jelly Roll Morton credited Joe Sims of Vicksburg, Mississippi, as the creator of scat singing around the turn of the 20th century. In a conversation between Alan Lomax and Jelly Roll Morton, Morton recounted the story of scat. And here it goes. Lomax said, well, what about some more scat songs that you used to sing way back then? And Morton replies, oh, I'll sing you some scat songs. That was way before Louis Armstrong's time. By the way, scat is something that a lot of people don't understand, and they begin to believe that the first scat numbers was done by one of my hometown boys, Louis Armstrong, but I must take the credit away since I know better. The first man that ever did a scat number in history of this country was a man from Vicksburg, Mississippi by the name of Joe Sims, and an old comedian. And from that, Tony Jackson and myself and several more grabbed it in New Orleans and found it was pretty good for the introduction of a song. And Lomax goes on to say, what does scat mean? And Morton says, scat doesn't mean anything, but just something to give a song a flavour. Good response. Morton also once boasted that Tony Jackson and myself were using scat for novelty back in 1906 and 1907 when Louis Armstrong was still in the orphan's home. Don Redman and Fletcher Henderson also featured scat vocals in the 1925 recording of My Papa Doesn't Do Two Time, No Time. I will look that up for our future missions. 5 months before Armstrong's famous 1926 recording of Heebie-Jeebies. Now, I'll give the background to Heebie-Jeebies, which we'll listen to shortly.
Yes, I know Heebie-Jeebies.
Yeah, it was Armstrong's February 1926 performance of Heebie-Jeebies, however, that is considered the turning point for the medium. From the 1926 recording of Heebie-Jeebies arose the techniques that would form the foundations of modern scat. In a possibly apocryphal story, Armstrong claimed that when he was recording Heebie-Jeebies with his band The Hot Five, his sheet music fell off the stand onto the ground. Not knowing the lyrics to the song, he invented a gibberish melody to fill time, expecting the cut to be thrown out.
Good
In
story,
the end,
anyway.
yeah, it certainly is, but that take of the song was the one they did release. And it quotes him here verbatim. It says, "I dropped the paper with the lyrics right in the middle of the tune, and I did not want to stop and spoil the record, which was moving along so wonderfully. So when I dropped the paper, I immediately turned back to the horn and started scatting. Just as nothing had happened. When I finished the record, I just knew the recording people would throw it out, and to my surprise, they all came running out of the controlling booth and said, 'Leave that in!' Armstrong's Heebie-Jeebies became a national bestseller, and consequently the practice of scatting became closely associated with Armstrong, and deservedly so. The song would serve as a model for Cab Calloway, whose 1930s scat solos inspired George Gershwin's use of the medium in the opera Porgy and Bess.
Oh, yeah.
That's very interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, these linkages are terrific.
Yeah, so I'm just, it was really interesting to get that background to the Heebie-Jeebies, and I've got that ready to play from February 1926, the very record in question. So we'll do a program on scat, and I'll look up some of those other examples. I might have to sort of search quite deeply for them, but it would be interesting to sort of look at the recorded legacy of this this type of singing. But I have to say, before we continue, the recording we just heard, I just thought the scatting was so perfectly aligned to what the guitar was doing. It was
They were so listening to each other.
They were. It was just beautiful. It just had a lovely sense of flow. Often scatting can sound too busy or just sort of
a little bit out of place.
A bit out of place and a bit self-conscious or something. Sometimes Crosby's scatting early on sounded a bit weird.
Did.
And but in that instance, it was just beautifully flowing. It was just marvellous. So here we go. This is reputed to be one of the first recordings of scatting in Heebie-Jeebies.
Come on down to that dance. They call the Heebie-Jeebies dance. Sweet mama, Papa got to do the Heebie-Jeebies dance.
fantastic. I love it. It's just so sort of colourful and yeah, everything.
Yep.
Yeah, that was the Mr. Armstrong and his Hot Five back in 1926, an acoustic, interestingly, from that time.
Late
And-
acoustic.
Yeah, I think it is, or very early electric.
Yeah.
But now, having played that song, there is an amazing version of that song with the Boswell sisters, which I'll have to follow on with.
Yeah.
So let's hear the Bozzies, recorded just a few years later.
Haven't played them for a while.
No, we haven't.
Too long.
So yeah, let's have a listen to their take on the heebie-jeebies.
Now I've been having 'em all day long. I got the heebies, but I can't go wrong. 'Cause when I got 'em, I just roll along. Now listen everybody while I sing this song. I'm singing about that dance that makes you shake your shoes. That dance that gives you folks the heebie-jeebie blues. It's called a heebie-jeebie dance. Wa-la-la-la-la. It's called a heebie-jeebie dance. Oh, I got the heebie-jeebie that I'm talking about. Got the heebie-jeebie blues. We call them on. Come on down just a little bit, George. Let's shake, don't you know it? Come on, show it, honey, don't feel blue. Say, come on down and do that dance. Oh, all the heebie-jeebie dance. All the heebie-jeebie dance. Oh, ski, cat, ba-dee-da-ba-doo-da-ba-doo-da-ba-doo. Ba-da-da-ba-da-da-da-doo. Ba-da-da-da-doo. Boo-wop-boo, ba-da-da-doo. Baby, don't you know it? Come on, show it, honey, don't feel blue. Say, come on down, do that dance. Call the heebie-jeebie dance, young man. Call the heebie-jeebie dance. Oh, I got the heebie-jeebie, I'm talking about. Got the heebie-jeebie blues, sweet call they home. Come on down just a little bit, your legs shake, don't you know it? Come on, show it, honey, don't feel blue. Say, come on down, do that dance. Call the heebie-jeebie dance. Call the heebie-jeebie dance. I got the heebie-jeebies. What you doing with the jeebies? Said I got those heebies. Got those heebies. The heebie-jeebies.
The Bozzies. Yes,
So good.
they just are amazing. They are as one. They are so unified.
Yeah, totally.
It's incredible. And abandoned. That's the thing. You can be unified and you can be deliberate, but they just threw caution to the wind and just have such a wonderful sense of flair and just ensemble magic. I was going to follow on with very recently the film The Big Broadcast of 1932 popped up. The whole movie's popped up on YouTube and it's remained, which is really fantastic
I have to
because
find it before it goes off.
yeah, it's really worth listening to, and it's really just a big cavalcade of great artists from that year, and it's all based around the story of Crosby losing the sheet music. He disappears with somebody and they can't find him, and he's supposed to be singing "Please."
Yeah,
That's all
comes
it
in at
is.
the last
He
chorus.
comes in the last chorus, and that's it. I mean, it's really not much to this film,
Right.
but it has got a great cameo by the Boswell sisters, the Mills brothers. It's got Cab Calloway. And I think, if I'm right, I can just... Yep, here we go. I can play the Boswell sisters. I've just queued it up.
Well
It's 1
done.
hour into the film, and they are announced, but we won't quite get the announcement. But they're singing Crazy People. And I remember when I first saw this film back in the early 90s, Kate sat down and meticulously arranged every note of this arrangement, and she sang it with her choir, with her group.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so she really embraced this at the time.
Quite a job.
It was a big job. It
I know.
took about 1,000 rewinds, but we got
Yeah.
there. And so have a listen to Crazy People.
With without those three little girls from New Orleans. Permit me to present the Boswell sisters, Connie, Vet, and Martha.
Crazy people, crazy people, crazy people like me, go crazy over people like you. Goofy people, daffy people like me, go crazy over things you do. While we are underneath the moon above, you've got me acting just like a loon. It must be love, sweet love. Crazy people like me, go crazy over people like you. Crazy people like you. Crazy people like the things you do when we are under the moon. The moon above, you got me acting just like a loon. It must be love. Crazy people like you, 'cause lovebirds of a feather always flock together. It's an old custom of the house that keeps folks from drifting apart. Now that's the reason, baby, that I call you baby. We're each other's counterpart. Crazy people, crazy people, crazy people, crazy people, crazy people like me go crazy over people like you. Wow, goofy people, daft people like me go crazy over things you do. Wow, don't mind if I rave a lot, sweet angel child. It's just a habit I've got. You drive me wild. Crazy people, daft people like me go crazy over things like you. Wow.
The Boswell sisters in concert there from the film The Big Broadcast of 1932, which can be searched and found. And it's a wondrous film. So we might see if I can find the segment with Cab Calloway. This is amazing too. And Cab Calloway, it's very interesting. In this film, we have both black and white performers. They don't play together, but they are in the one film, which is significant. And but Cab Calloway is singing his take on it's like an extension of Minnie the Moocher, but it's got lots of scatting, and he is just electric. And he's emulating cocaine sniffing during the song, and of course the censors wouldn't have had any idea what he was doing. Yeah, and he's having all these spasms and this crazy manic dancing. It's really a pre-rocker. It's like watching one of the early rock and roll stars.
He wasn't acting.
No, he's just got a role and just a part of the stage.
Was the sniffing?
Oh no, he probably wasn't. but he looks. He's putting the. You can see him putting the cocaine on it, well, emulating it, and going through the motions.
I see.
And so yes, and of course the song is just all about.
It's totally about.
It's all about that. And I just think the whole thing went over the head of the censors. They wouldn't have had any idea.
When you listen to the words, it's kind of like it's hard to see that it wouldn't be recognised.
Yeah, that's right. And even in this version of it,
kicking the guy around.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. And he sings here. You can hear him sing all the cokies lying around. He says,
"What more do they want?"
I know exactly. It's incredible. So have a listen to this from that same film from 1932, The Big Broadcast.
Oh, with a hidey-hi and a hoity-ho, Cab Calloway and his Harlemaniacs present a flaming bit of heated Harlem harmony.
It was down in Chinatown, all the cokies laid around. Some were high and some were mighty low. her pleasure, kicking the gong around. Skinny water, lolly, ho, lily, bitty, lily, well, lolly, bitty, lily, well, lolly, bitty, lolly, lo, la-da-day, la-da-day, la-da-day. Skip on hoot, did skitty, bitty, what, diddy, oh, la-dee-day. Just tell her Smoky Joe was here and had to go, and as he departed, the curtains parted, and there was Smitty kicking the gong around. Skitty waddle on the hole, litty bitty bitty well, oh diddy well, skit butt doot skit boot hit booty what diddy la diddy lay. Skitty waddle on the hole, la di day. Just tell her Smoky Joe was here and had to go, and as he departed, the curtains parted, and there was Minnie kicking the gong around.
Well, there we had straight from the Cotton Club, and where Mr. Calloway was resident at that time. And yes, the sequel to Minnie the Moocher. He's so animated on stage. It is really like watching Little Richard.
Yeah, really. It's marvelous.
It's just got the same sort of flamboyance, and I mean, Little Richard was born the year that was made. But I mean, it's not rock and roll, but it's just the flamboyance attached to rock and roll.
Sure, it's got all the energy of rock and roll.
Yeah, that's the sort of feel. So there's a lot of stuff in this film. I can find quickly the Mills Brothers one. I've time-stamped it. It's 101.
Really talented, the Mills Brothers.
Yeah, this is the very beginning of their career. 101, here it is. We can find it. I might just have to do a little bit of a back stop here. Okay, how do I do this? Wish I could just move back in small increments. It's just not as easy as I'd like. Okay, looks like we are just going through the little bit of dialogue before the spot in the film, and then we can have a listen to the original Mills Brothers. I think they reformed and they had different personnel later on. But definitely seeing them perform here, they've got somewhat, they're emulating the sound of instruments. There's no other instruments except for one guitar. Yeah, I think we're ready. I think we're sort of queued up, and here we are.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Mills Brothers.
Hold that tiger, 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 hold that tiger. Where's that tiger? Where's that tiger? Here's that tiger. Where's that tiger? Here's that tiger. Where's that tiger? Here's that tiger. Hold that tiger, 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 hold that tiger? Where's that tiger? Where's that tiger? Is that tiger? Where's that tiger? Is that tiger? Where's that tiger? Is that tiger? No, 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 no. Oh, that tiger.
Well, just absolutely superb in their synchronicity. The Mills brothers, very, very young in that recording there.
Sounded like the Mills. I mean, they sounded, like the later ones.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Sure. I think they only had one or two personnel changes. I don't think they had major.
They were brothers, weren't they?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah, I think they were brothers. Yeah, but see if I can find a bit with Bing Crosby. There's a great version of him singing Dinah. Oh, this is wonderful. And we might have to have a bit of dialogue here.
Good.
They're just kidnapping him now and taking him away, and then he's somewhere else. Here he is.
Dinah, should you wander to China, I would hop an ocean liner just to be with Dinah Lee. Every night, why do I shake with pride? Shaking 'cause dynamite. Change your mind about me, don't you tell me that you change your mind about me. No, just to be with Dinah Lee.
Okay, there we have a little snippet from the film, and that was Dinah with Bing singing, scatting very effortlessly there. He's certainly got that one worked out. I'll give you another little snippet. 51 minutes is the bit where he first sings Please. He sings it twice. He sings it at the end as well, which is not so impressive. But this one, well, it's all impressive, but the end is sort of a part of a bigger story.
Yeah.
Here, he sings it with Eddie Lang, who's in frame, and it's so haunting because Eddie Lang died shortly after this film was made, having a tonsillectomy.
His last time.
Yes, this is his last thing. But there is a scene where he and Bing Crosby is getting dressed and practicing singing Please with Eddie Lang next to him. So I think that's going to start in a minute. It's hard to sort of cue these things because I've got the movie up and I'm just finding the relevant bit, and I'm trying to proceed things with a bit of pre-cueing. On the iPad, it's easier to do that because you can tap the side and it goes forward 10 seconds at a time.
Yeah, it's measured for you.
It is, but on this screen here, I can't do that. So here we go.
Lend a ray of cheer to my plea. Tell me that you love me too. Well, I think I know it. Your eyes reveal that you have the soul of an angel white as snow. But how long must I play the role of a gloomy Romeo? Please. Tell me that you love me too. Boom, biddy, biddy, diddy. Well, I'll see you tonight, okay?
That okay is the only recording of Eddie Lang that we have. But there we had an excerpt. So a few excerpts from the film, the big broadcast. There's a number of other artists represented there as too, including Mildred Bailey and many others actually. It's quite a stage. So yeah, worth a watch, and it's a great film. So well, what we can do is have our special feature, which I'm sort of running out of time for, so I might just let this play out.
Right.
And we can sort of come back to it and have highlights and discussions tomorrow, maybe more. But it's an album called Australia and All That Jazz, Volume 1.
Yes.
Yeah, it's on the Cherry Pie label. And this was put together by John Sangster, and it primarily features Mr. Burrows.
Of course.
On concert flute, alto flute, and bass flute. Yeah, and clarinet. And Tony Buchanan also plays flute, and so does Graham Lyle. He's on this as well. So quite a star-studded lineup, really, of local talent. Probably.
And talent doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah, this is great. So I'm fascinated by this record. I think it was recorded in Sydney. They're sort of part of the Sydney scene, weren't they?
Yeah, certainly were very much always Sydney-centric.
Yes.
And Sangster especially, he didn't make too many records.
Right, okay. Yeah, and well, it'd be good to sort of follow the story of Galapagos Duck and others in some of the Sydney scene at some stage.
We've done them in U3A.
Have you?
Yeah.
Great.
Well, Galapagos Duck we have.
Yep.
And the other Sydney coves as well.
Sure.
And it's most interesting.
Yeah.
Melbourne had its own scene.
Yes, I sort of associate Melbourne more with more of a trad scene, trad revival with Graham Bell's band and such.
Yeah, and Frank Trainer.
And Frank Trainer and Frank Johnson, yeah. So, yes, there's sort of a different vibe, I suppose, but Sydney was sort of the cool, more modern stream, if anything.
Remember that guy who was an engineer did a lecture about when he took over EMI in Australia.
Oh, yes, that's right.
He had a lot to do with John Sangster.
He did indeed. Now it's all coming to the fore. Yes, for the Engineering Society lecture.
That's right.
That was good.
He organised some recordings for Sangster to make.
Yes, indeed. In fact, I think they started up a label together.
They did. And one of the big epics that he did was to do with the Hobbits.
That's right. And they've lost the master tapes, yes. I remember him saying.
Yes.
That is such a story. I might see, because that's all on the Engineering Society website, and I might see if I can get that part of this, see if I can get that section.
It was priceless, all that
Yes,
stuff.
it's very, very interesting. And then we can follow on, because the album still is out there, and it's online. You can access it, and it's on YouTube. And then we could play some of the tracks from it. It's a Rainforest item, I think it was called.
Yeah.
Yes, how interesting. Well, that would be definitely worth developing, and we could make a bit of a thing of it with Galapagos as well, because I think Don Burrows was with Galapagos, wasn't he?
Yes, I think he was for a while. I'm not sure that he was a permanent member.
Right.
Not sure about that, actually.
Okay, maybe not. All right.
Don't know.
We can investigate that and find out more. Yeah, but so this is interesting. So it says here, wow, I can read out the information here. I'll play side one now to write out the program, and just before doing that, I'll just give you the information it gives us here. I can just I'll just tell you that it's sort of environmentally inspired, and the Australian Museum, Australia and All That Jazz Volume 1. Would you believe it says a museum promoting cool jazz? Why not?
God, isn't that wonderful?
Does the idea of a museum promoting a jazz record seem so incongruous? Today is not the past, when the public image of the museum is that of a dingy repository of dusty old relics. The Australian Museum and jazz are a natural combination. The museum exhibits the tangible products of ethnic evolution, while jazz is the outcome of the more transient aspects of the same evolution, both comprising complementary forms of human progress. Anthropology. How did this association come into being? Howard D. Jones has been a movie photographer of the Australian Museum for many years and has won international acclaim with his natural history films, not only for their technical perfection but also for their artistic qualities. Howard wanted to do a series of films on aspects of Australian wildlife with conservation as the underlying theme.
Yeah.
His ideas were a natural outcome of the Australian Museum's involvement with projects concerning conservation of our unique environment, and I became as enthusiastic as Howard. But the production of films and soundtrack and musical score is an expensive project, and this is where the Broken Hill Proprietary Company came into our assistance. Goes on to say the traditional association of the arts, in this case photographic and musical, with the patronage of a generous donor had been maintained. It goes on to talk about other people who contributed.
Yeah.
It says the original score was needed, and the composer suggested was John Sangster.
Yes, yes.
It was a new film venture for John, and he was really keen on the idea. The visual material he saw on film was so good it inspired him to create music, original music which he believes is some of the best he has ever written. The music is not just cool jazz, it incorporates the sounds and feel of Australia, the differences between red, dry heartland and the cool, lush valleys of the coastal fringes. Each piece of music depicts a different aspects of the film's animal and scene changes are mirrored in changes of rhythm and instrumental combinations, and the music is as varied as the country it depicts. John assembled a select group of musicians and arranged the music. I sat through a recording session and could see the tremendous enthusiasm and interest of the musicians as they recorded the music. Then the great idea was born. If the music was so good, why leave it on film? Why not give everyone a chance to hear it? Take some of the sounds from nature, birds, frogs, the rustle of foliage, and interweave this with the music to make an LP record. This synthesis was a new concept for all concerned. It's new, it's fresh, it's a fresh innovation. The first two films in the series have already been made, Dry Australia and Where Water is Plentiful. Naturally, as the title suggests, these two films are contrasting in visual content, and the least you can expect is that the music inspired by them and featured on this record will follow suit. So that's from the director of the Australian Museum, Mr. Talbot, and gives a bit of background, to John Sangster. I might read that out tomorrow.
Yeah.
And we can sort of let this evolve a bit, I think. And what I'll do now is I'll play side one, which is Where Water is Plentiful, and it's got 7 tracks. The first is First Light, The Bush Comes to Life. Second is Sunrise, The Rising Sun Brings to Life the Flowers, Colours, The Waratah, Grimmy Lily and Banksia. The composition features Don Burrow's bass flute. Wow, I look forward to hearing that. The Birds, track 3, features Graham Lyle's tenor saxophone. Number 4 is Procession of Tadpoles and Water Striders, Don Burrows on the alto flute.
Yep.
Number 5 is Possum. Errol Battle improvises on a difficult jazz instrument, the bassoon. Wow, it's great. Forest with Birds is track 6, features John Sangster on vibraphone and Don Burrow's alto flute. And number 7, Man the Destroyer. Tony Buchanan's bass clarinet depicts the destruction of this beautiful environment, but with care it will survive. And there's a whole lot of information about the technical side and what equipment was used to record it, but I'll read that out tomorrow, as I will also give a background to John Sangster as well. So this is an album, Australia and All That Jazz, was picked up in the op shop this afternoon.
Yeah.
And we'll listen to side 1 to ride the program and be back on board tomorrow, Frank.
Sounds great.
Excellent. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll look forward to it. Have a nice, relaxing evening. And thanks to the listener. Thank you for being a part of the experience. We enjoy sharing new discoveries, and it's always that way. It's just a journey of sorts.
Yes, come back tomorrow.
Please do. I'm vk3sl, and we'll catch up soon.
This is vk3jr going off and clear, as we say, and going to listening.
Okay, and now let's have a listen to Australia and All That Jazz. It's the music of John Sangster, and from an album called Australia and All That Jazz. And the title of side one was Where Water is Plentiful, and we heard the performers John Sangster, Eric Buddle, Don Burrows, Tony Buchanan, George Goller, Graham Lyle, Derek Fairbrass and Ed Gaston. We'll hear side two of that tomorrow. I'm vk3sl. Thank you for listening, and we look forward to your company then.